Info on Scuba Diving's had the real privilege of coming to Curieuse Island in the Seychelles, and we're on the very special island because it contains these wonderful giant tortoises. Jason here is one of the rangers, and I'm hoping I'm going to find out a bit more about them. Good afternoon, Jason.
Good afternoon, sir. How do you do?
Thank you very much for talking to us.
A pleasure.
How many tortoises are there on this island?
Well, roughly we have about 250 on this particular island altogether. But the highest population would be on Adelbra Island of 150,000 plus.
150,000?
Yes, sir.
Gosh, but these have been specifically brought here, they're not actually native to this island?
Yes, you see, all the original tortoises on Curieuse Island were run down to extinction because sailors used to come and collect them as a source of food, considering they could survive on the ship for long periods of time without food or water. And of course that's how they ended up running down into extinction. Then in the late 70s, early 80s, they reintroduced about 230 or so from Adelbra Island. And ever since then they've been living here, growing larger in population. Yeah.
And they can live to quite an age, can't they? They can outlive us.
Yes, definitely. Well, on this island, the oldest may not be more than 125, but according to record, the oldest could be about 250, even 300 years old, which is on Bird Island by the name of Esmeralda. Yeah.
So she might have even known Darwin?
Probably, yes.
Is there more of a male-female mix, or is it fairly balanced?
I would say at the moment we still have more males than females, and it's very easy to distinguish between male and female. The best way to find out is by looking underneath the shell. If it's got a concave shape, it means it's a male, and if it's flat, it's a female. So when it's the mating season, it's easy for the male to actually mount on the female. Yeah. So
who have we got here? A lady or a gentleman?
We've got a male over here, and he's roughly about 75 to 80 years old right now. And he can weigh anything from 150 to 200 kilograms. Yeah.
He's a big old fella, isn't he? He's not the biggest that we've got here, though, is he?
He's not the biggest. He's just one of the older ones around, yeah.
What's the long-term sort of prognosis? Well, I mean, are they going to just keep breeding them and looking after them?
Well, that's the main intention of actually reintroducing them to this island. It's easier for scientists or researchers to come and actually study the animals closer to land instead of going to Adelbra Island, which is about 1,010 km southwest of Mahe. So it is easier for researchers to come here, and also the population tends to grow much more larger considering the amount of vegetation that they need to survive on. Unlike on Adelbra Island, the population is so high that they actually battle to gain enough food. Unlike on this island, vegetation is in abundance, so they tend to actually grow much more faster as well, considering the amount that they feed. Yeah.
How big is this island then?
This island is about 707 acres right now.
And they're free to roam all over?
They're free to roam all around the island, but they prefer the specific areas where there's a lot of fresh water coming down from the springs, where there's marsh areas, because it's easy for them to actually cool off, because they are reptiles. They need to regulate the body temperature, and also they can also drink the water. You see, sometimes they have the tendency of cooling off on the beach, but then they would never have the idea of swimming outwards or even drinking the water because it's too salty, so they prefer the fresh water. And also around the marsh areas, there's a lot of green grass and a lot of fruit trees, which basically attracts the tortoises over to those specific areas. Yeah.
Now Jason's very kindly brought me over to the breeding pen, and there's a little baby here. And how old did you say this one was roughly?
This one could be about 3 weeks.
3 weeks old. We don't know the sexes yet because it's a little bit too early. The shell hasn't fully developed yet, and as they get older they get darker. So how many can you expect to breed?
Well, it all depends how many happen to actually get recovered from the nest site, and depending on most of the females that we have, it depends how many are actually mature enough, because they only reach maturity between 25 to 30 years old. And once they reach that size, then they could start producing maybe 1 to 21 eggs. It all depends how many we happen to locate at the particular nest site. And then we'll bring them in here till the age of 6, of which then they're large enough to fend for themselves.
So really you've put them in this little pen now just to protect them from the various predators?
Yes, because once they're very small like this, it's easy for the land crabs to attack them, because the shell is very, very soft, as well as other pests such as rats that came over on ships in the old days when there was no quarantine procedures. Yeah.
Now this one's about 5 years old, did you say? And then beside him the little baby. So I gather, Jason, that anyone that's visited, they can actually get a form to adopt a tortoise.
Yes, they can. And what they do is they actually walk around and choose a tortoise, of which then we'll put because each tortoise has a little tag that we have at the back, and then they'll identify the tortoise, of which then they get feedback via the email that they actually fill out the form in, all the credentials.
He's on the move, he's on the move. There we go. There's no danger. Nearly got knocked over in the rush. I can see he's C101.
Yes, he's C101. So what happens is when we're doing the population census on the island, we'll get volunteers on the island, of which we separate them into 3-4 groups, each covering a section of the island, and each one has their own particular tags. And then at the end of the day, we just try and compile everything together and figure out exactly how much tortoises everybody has counted on that particular day. Yeah.
Right. Well, Jason, I wish you all the best with the project to keep them alive and healthy and growing in numbers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for talking to us.
A pleasure. Come back again.
I hope so, and we'll see more. Maybe we'll see son of C101.
Maybe you'll find a smaller one, you can give him a nickname and come back after 100 years and he'll still be around. Yeah?
I won't be though. Thank you.
All right, pleasure.